those ascendants upon the path, upon the golden age timeline path to the new earth, what I call ascendants, are essentially living in two places at once. Essentially, we are engaged in what is known as quantum entanglement. And this is a event that consists of heating and cooling. Now, within the quantum physicists and their laboratories, and within our universal laboratory, the scientific explanation of quantum entanglement involves the heating and cooling of a tiny piece of matter to extreme levels and measuring it to see if it can be detected in multiple locations. Now, Einstein theorized it might be possible, and it has been proven to be the case. Essentially, physicists from Stanford and the University of California, Santa Barbara, have been able to put one object in two places at the same time. This is known as quantum entanglement. Now, how this is relevant for us as ascendants upon the golden age timeline, the path to the ascension to the new earth, the new Jerusalem, how this is relevant for us is because we're in essence being confronted with the reality of having to live in having to be in two places at once. And essentially going back to the Bible, the quantum Bible, as I like to call it, because the Bible is a very powerful book. There's about 20% of it that just needs to be taken out and burned, done away with, because it is of divisive nature. It is there to make people schizophrenic and create division. And so, but referring back to the Bible, and specifically with Christians, as Christians, we've had to have been in two places at once for more than 2,000 years. If you think about it, Christians alive on earth are citizens of heaven spiritually, the new earth, the new Jerusalem, harmonic universe number 2, the higher dimensions, beginning with dimension 5. So ascendants alive on earth are citizens of harmonic universe number 2 in a spiritual sense, and we are living on earth, harmonic universe number 1, physically in dimension 3. And referring back to the Apostle Paul, he tells us that even though our bodies are on earth, we are citizens of heaven. We are in two places at once, essentially, on this path. But further referring to the quantum Bible, and that is my version of the Bible, where I have done away with about 20% of the divisive control mechanisms of the Bible, and thus created a quantum Bible. I'm going to refer back to the Philippians, where it says, above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. That is the Christ consciousness within us. And essentially understanding that the mind of God, to access the mind of God, go within. And how do we go within? We go within through resonant breathing exercises, through meditation, through essentially any manner of activity that raises our vibration. And when we raise our vibration and we step into the God mind within, we discover that there's a purpose to our lives. However, it is not the little narcissistic ego purpose that you think, that is the thought clusters of dimensions 1, 2, and 3 of the root, the thought clusters, the chakras of the root, your survival energies, your sexual and ego. That's the lower animal, earthly purpose, devoid of connection to your higher self, which is your God mind and God's purpose. And do you know what that purpose is? You won't know what God's purpose is, and you won't know what it is like to live as a citizen upon the new earth until you access your God mind, until you reach God consciousness. Then you'll know, and then you'll be able to fulfill the reason why you are alive in this particular form, at this particular juncture of space-time, in this particular manvantara, at the very depth of the Kali Yuga, on the precipice of the Satyuga, the dawning of the new earth, the new age. When you access your God consciousness, you will be a citizen of New Jerusalem. Then you'll know. Then you'll be able to fulfill the reason why you are alive in this particular form. And you and your God mind, when you access the God mind, which is essentially the Akash records, the quantum computer of the great omniverse, you will receive your marching orders, so to speak. You will download your script, your orders for your purpose for existence. I'm sorry, I have a military background, so I tend to fall back on that, but this does not have to be a militaristic sort of vibe at all. This is very beautiful. However, I am a warrior of the light, and sometimes I use that verbiage. However, this new script that you will download when you access your God mind, your quantum mind, your Akash records of the quantum ethers, this is not a samsara script. This is not the old script of living in the past. Because now you're going to receive the script from God, from source directly, that is giving you the truth about who you are in the present moment, what you see, and now who you are. Your lower animal nature, your ego, will become divinized. You have essentially brought heaven to earth and thus established your quantum entanglement, because you are in two places at once, with your God mind, which is conscious and aware here on this harmonic universe number one, but essentially your ego becomes divinized. You have brought heaven to earth. Your ego has become spiritualized, and you will no longer be at the human level. You have transcended. You have ascended to that with the ranks of the angels and the hosts of heaven. You will have outgrown that level of being a mere animal through the practice and the maturation, the elevation of your consciousness, your awareness. When you access your God mind, that is gained through all of your inner work that you do, essentially anything you do to raise your vibration, to recognize first and then realize that you are not the ego. You were never born as a consciousness of your body, essentially. But now this body is yours to now come into it as an avatar, as a divine being, to express the presence of God in the world through beauty, through grace, through all of the virtues and all of the signatures of God's presence, of what it means to be Christ conscious, aware, expressing the truth and the beauty of Christ consciousness, the light of God's presence through you, and especially through the divine feminine aspect, the feminine aspect of God, and to bring all of that beauty and love and truth and joy into this world, into this fallen world of harmonic universe number one, no longer as a human ego suffering karma, but as one who has come into the world without karma, without a past, who has been born again in the light, who comes directly from the light and brings the message of the light to the darkened world, and brings that light in such a way that others cannot but perceive it and be in awe of it, but without any care or interest in how it's received, because you are simply living out the perfection of the will of God. And there is nothing else that is real once you have touched the God mind. And one of the most confusing areas during a spiritual awakening is understanding this concept of oneness with your God mind and unity from a more integrated and holistic perception. And that is essentially, when you access your God mind, you have differentiated yourself in a quantum state of entanglement, because you are essentially, you still have to deal with harmonic universe number one, the third dimension, your ego, but as you have been an ascendant and you have risen to harmonic universe number two and accessed your God mind, you are in control of your ego. Your ego is your tool to promote the light of God and the consciousness of the Christ.
Namaste, Namaskaram.